Hi, I'm Ben Berman, and I'm the CEO of Hidden Switch, and I want to share with you a really amazing new way to create video game content. And the reason this matters is that if you want to make the next $10 billion game, you have to create the most content. This becomes obvious if you look at the history of the most influential games that have been released in the last 20 years. I'm going to show you two of them. I'm also going to show you what the future is going to look like. World of Warcraft, back in opening in 2005, it reached a peak of 11 million players, and Minecraft, 10x the number of users that World of Warcraft could reach with under 20 million. The next big game in 2020 is going to reach 700 million users. But everyone in this audience probably already knows that games are growing as a business. They've been doing so for almost 30 years now. What really matters is the story about how content is created. If you look at what World of Warcraft was really about, it's the maximum of what game designers can create. And Blizzard is an amazing company, the creator of World of Warcraft, absolutely amazing game designers. But the smart thing about Minecraft is it changed the way the content is created. Players are creating the content in Minecraft. You all have kids who have played Minecraft, and you know that the main thing that they find compelling is building stuff in it. It's not a game designer who's creating things for them. They create the content. If you want to be the next biggest game, you have to think in the same way that Minecraft did. You have to 10x the amount of content that's created relative to your incumbent. And how's that going to happen? How are you going to reach 700 million players and 10x the amount of content that you have? What is on the trend from things that were designed by game designers, professional game designers, and then expanding to the exponentially greater number of players? What is something that works 10 times harder, processes 10 times as much data, and uses 10 times fewer resources? Naturally, that's going to be artificial intelligence. But you're going to say, wait, I've heard this pitch before. And you're right. Neural networks, the leading technology behind most AI innovations that are promised today, are kind of garbage. You know, they use data you don't have, huge amounts of data that only Facebook and Google could possibly hope to collect. They require expensive and specialized hardware, engineers you can't retain because they can always get paid a lot more working at some self-driving car startup or some bank. And ultimately, it's something that's in the deep future. And I know, looking at this audience, that you guys aren't getting any younger. So instead, I want to focus on a totally different technology. It's called Bayesian inference. And it's made right here at MIT. It's really remarkable. Something that uses medium data, cheap hardware. Grad students like me are capable of programming it. And it's something that's delivering today. It's based on research from the probabilistic computing group and the Media Lab here at MIT. And we call it Instinct. It's our AI-powered game content generator. That still sounds a little abstract, but what's important about the technology is that it's like toddlers. Toddlers have instinct, not data. And it turns out that most toddlers end up being smarter than Google. And if you understand how instinct plays a role in the intelligence of toddlers, you'll understand why Bayesian inference, which is a totally different technology than neural networks, can aspire to be smarter than Google, why it has this potential, and why ultimately our technology works. I want to show you an example of something that our technology creates. If you don't play digital card games, this isn't going to mean much to you. But this is a card, this is some piece of content in a video game, and the text is something that Instinct creates. Normally, human game designers, whether they're players, whether they're professional designers, have to write this text, and it's quite hard. There are a lot of variables to consider. It's something very, very challenging. But ultimately, you know, we're just trying to aspire to replace the human designer. That's what Instinct does. We're trying to use these instinctual insights to deliver on the same design choices. We're proving this technology in a game called Spellsource. This is an adaptation, a clone really, of an extremely lucrative game called Hearthstone that Blizzard makes. You'll be able to play it after the demos, and you'll be able to see exactly how our content fits into a major and very successful competitive multiplayer game. But it's not really about this product that we're making. It's about making content for all the biggest games. Because if you look at what really drives the demand for everything that players want in games, it's content. And ultimately, we want to create content to build communities. That's what players are. They're communities of people, and communities lead to acquisitions. I said earlier that we want something that's working today, not in the deep future. And that's why we're really oriented around the 3-year exit. We want to look at what actually happens with people who make interesting innovations in content creation, where they're going to go. And the best exit is in 3 years. It's acquiring a community. We create content for things that are already popular. And we show it to a community of players who get excited about them, and that's actually valuable to game studios. On the more pessimistic end, the most important thing is that big ideas attract talented people. And talented people protect you via an acqui-hire. We're trying to do artificial intelligence because that's what the most talented people want to do. They want to do it in games. And our team is really equipped by working on essentially science fiction projects at the Wyss Institute and at the Media Lab to actually pursue this in a serious way. This is really the core of why we're building the technology. Game studios need to continue to grow. They want to be the next $700 million game, the next 100 times more content. They're going to need our technology to do that. They're going to use something, but they're going to need to make much more than any that either players or game designers can create. And I'm inviting you to be part of this game design revolution. Somebody is going to achieve this. And I encourage you to come talk with us after the break, play the game. It's a normal competitive multiplayer game. See the content and be wowed that it is indistinguishable from that that's made by a human. And you'll believe that this is a very promising way to create content for the next 700 million player game. Thank you.